Willie D live.
What's up, family? Bad news. Once again, we got a maniac on the loose in the United States of America. This time, a mass shooting rampage in Louisiana that left 8 children dead and others wounded. At least 8 people are dead and others are wounded after a mass murder reported in the Louisiana city of Shreveport, according to local police. Police said that among the victims were children ranging in the age from 18 months to 14 years. 2 other women were reportedly shot in the head but survived, and a third person, described as a young boy, was injured while jumping from a roof. Wayne Smith, Shreveport's police chief, said the suspected killer was shot and killed by police after he committed a carjacking. The violence occurred early on Sunday morning in Shreveport's Cedar Grove neighborhood, with police suggesting there were at least 4 separate but nearby scenes involved in the deadly rampage. Investigators did not discuss a possible motive for the killings, but said it appeared to be domestic in nature. They also did not name the slain suspect or his various victims, with Smith saying an investigation into a very large scene with 4 specific locations remained ongoing. At a news conference later on Sunday, Shreveport Mayor Tom Arsenault said, "This is a tragic situation, maybe the worst tragic situation we've had in recent memory in the northwestern Louisiana city of about 187,000 people. It's a terrible morning in Shreveport, and we all know my heart goes out to this entire community for the tragic event that has taken place this morning," Arsenault said. Let's see, in another high-profile shooting. Yeah, we had another high-profile shooting in the U.S. over the weekend. 5 people were injured on Saturday night during a fight near the University of Iowa in Iowa City, Iowa. 3 of the wounded were reportedly students. One of the injured was in critical condition, and the remaining wounded were considered stable, police said. Police did not immediately announce any arrest in connection with the Saturday night's Iowa City shooting. So once again, fam, just people going crazy in the U.S. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Killing babies. Like, there's like little to no regard for human life in this country these days. This is cold-blooded right here. Killing babies. Whoever the uncivilized mud is, I'll just go ahead and say it right now. His mama should be embarrassed and his daddy should have pulled out. It is amazing how some people's minds are wired. Like, if you got a problem with somebody, you deal with that person. And if you can't handle it, you can't deal with it, you can't live through it. If you want to take anybody out, you're the one with the biggest problem. Take yourself out. Now, that's honorable to me. Like, first of all, I think it's weak. I think you're weak-minded. But if you're going to do it, at least that's more honorable than killing innocent people. You dig what I'm saying, fam? Like, America does not have a gun problem. America has a people problem. The problem in America is that we don't care about our neighbors and we don't care about our neighbors' children. Vice versa. You see what I'm saying? This is why the kids can't even play in the backyard. Used to be, okay, can't play in the front yard because front yard wide open, but we got the backyard. At least we got a fence back there. You know, now they'll come in the backyard and take your kid. Hell, your neighbor will snatch your kid up. You dig what I'm saying? Because we don't know our neighbors. How many of you right now listening to me know at least 3 neighbors on your street? I bet you most of you do not know 3 neighbors. Give me a thumbs up if you know at least 3 neighbors on your street, not in your neighborhood, on your street, give me at least a thumb up for that. If you know at least 3 neighbors, if you know the name of at least 3 of your neighbors, give me a thumbs up. Thumbs down and say, nah, I don't. I can't do that. I couldn't do it. There used to be a time when you knew all your neighbors, even the one neighbor that was antisocial, and nobody really liked that neighbor. Sometimes it's an old man or it's an old woman. It's always an old person, right? We always knew our neighbors, even if they were antisocial. We knew them. Nowadays, not so much. And that's a crime shame. And it is indicative of the violent culture that we live in today. People get mad at one person because they can't control their emotions, because they don't have the proper coping mechanisms. They're not wired to deal with life. They go from 0 to 1,000 and just start killing everything. And that lets you know that self-hatred that person had was viewed by others. Other people saw it. And that's why other people probably distanced themselves from that person, right? They saw it. That's why they got away from that person. And for a person to go that far, and this is without me even knowing all the details, but I just know how these type of things play out. If it's domestic in nature, 9 times out of 10, it's some fool that got dumped. Chick didn't want to be with him anymore. So he went on a rampage and started killing everything in sight. It's either that or, there was some type of lover's quarrel. And, maybe there was a third person involved and he went on a rampage. Either way, it's somewhere up in there. It's way too many people who are entering into relationships who do not have the coping skills to be in a relationship. I'll even put that on myself. That was a time when I was not qualified to be in a relationship because I didn't have control of my emotions. You see, I wasn't really fit to be in a relationship. But what happens is that we're human beings, and by nature, we are supposed to be with other human beings. But we should all mandate ourselves to not enter relationships until we are emotionally fit ourselves, right? We got to get right with ourselves first before we can inject someone else into our lives or inject ourselves into somebody else's life, right? That's important to get right here, because you can mess around and meet somebody that's a good person and you can destroy their spirit. You can destroy any chance that y'all ever had of going the distance because you met that person when you were not at your best, when you were not even, at your near best, you met this person when you were really at your worst oftentimes, when you didn't have any coping skills. So a situation you may have found yourself in with that person did not work out because you didn't know how to properly communicate your desires, your needs, your feelings, right? Your emotions. You didn't know how to communicate that. And so you didn't have an understanding. So you got to understand yourself first before you can understand anybody else. You got to be emotionally healthy first before you stand a chance of being in a healthy relationship with somebody else. Because what'll happen is you don't even know how to recognize a healthy relationship. Some people are in toxic relationships right now, and they think it's healthy to argue all the time. You know what they say? Well, you got to work on relationships. Work on relationships? I already got a job. What do I want to work on a relationship for? Do you know that sometimes, even if you have a job that you love, you don't want to go in? Sometimes you just call in sick. Sometimes you want to take a day off. Well, when you get into a relationship, there is no days off. You don't get any days off in a relationship. That person expects you to be consistent. That person expects you to be considerate at all times. That person expects you to be helpful, to be loving, to be kind, to be generous, to be honorable all the time. That person expects you to show up and show out every day. You don't get no days off in a relationship. So if you think that you can go into a relationship and treat it like you treat a job, you're going to run into some problems. You are going to run into some major problems. Most people are not qualified to be in relationships. This is why there's so much toxicity in relationships. They don't even know how to recognize a healthy relationship. They don't know what they should be doing and what they should not be doing. They really do believe that even some people think that fighting is loving. Well, he hit me, he knocked me upside the head. Because the only reason he did it because he loved me. He wouldn't have got that angry. He wouldn't have gotten that angry if he didn't love me, right? Some people have parents who put hands on them and they surmise that their parents love them, but they still put hands on them. So they justify it, and they grow up, they get conditioned to be that way where, violence, is parallel to love, right? A lot of people have that type of mentality, and they're in these toxic relationships where they call each other names. See, that's a no-no in relation. You don't want to do that. You don't ever want to do that. You don't want to get into the N word, the B word, the H word, and all these other names. You don't want to call each other names because I'm going to tell you, for every knife you point at somebody, you got 1,000 pointing back at you, and ain't none of us perfect. So even if you think you're the catch in the relationship, you still ain't perfect. You got some work to do. America has some work to do. Sadly, America is not concerned with clocking in. No more talk.